Assalamualaikum. Very good day. Today we are going to have a look at how to draw the graph of functions of cosine. Okay. General form. As usual, A is the amplitude. So it means that how high or how low the graph is. And N is the period, which is just 2 pi over n, and one cycle of a cosine graph looks like that. Okay, so in one cycle, in every 2 pi over n, and C is the shift. Okay, now let's have a look at the basic cosine graph first. Suppose that we have y equals to cos 0 degree, which is just equals to cos 0 radian, which is equals to 1 if you press your calculator, and cos 90 degrees, which is cos pi over 2, equals to 0. Cos 180 degrees, which is just cos pi radian, equals to -1. Cos 270 degrees, which is just equals to cos 3 pi over 2, will equals to 0. And lastly, cos 360 degrees, which is just equals to cos 2 pi, will equals to 1. Basically, if you draw the graph, okay, this is your y, this is your 2 pi, maybe you can use 360 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, 90 degrees, and maximum is 1, minimum is -1. If you plot the graph, cos when x equals to 0, y equals to 1. When x equals to 90, y equals to 0. And when x equals to 180, y equals to -1. And when x equals to 270, y equals to 0. 360 degrees, y equals to 1. Somehow the graph will look something like that. Okay, so it means that one cycle for a cosine graph, it looks like that. It's like a bowl of cereal. Okay, now let's have a look at the first example. Draw the graph of y equals to cos x. As usual, we can say that generally it's just equals to y equals to a cos and x plus c. And our value of a is equals to 1. Our period is equals to 2 pi over n. Our n is just equals to 1, which is just equals to 2 pi. Means that one cycle in every 2 pi. And the shift is equals to 0. There is no shift. Okay, so if you draw the graph, so this is 2 pi, say that is pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Our amplitude is 1, so you need to draw from 0 until 2 pi. Amplitude is 1. So one cycle in every 2 pi. So we have one cycle in every 2 pi. So the graph will look something like that. Okay, so this is y-axis, x-axis. This is the graph of y equals to cos x from 0 until 2 pi. Now we move to the next example. Y equals to 2 cos 4x. There is no shift. C is equals to 0. So our A is equals to 2. Our period is equals to 2 pi over n. In this case, our n is 4, which is equals to pi over 2. So we have one cycle in every pi over 2. So for every pi over 2, there will be one cycle. C is equals to 0, so there is no shift. Okay, we need to draw from 0 until 2 pi. So generally, 0 until 2 pi. Okay. So this is 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, pi over 2. And our amplitude is 2, so you can make like 2 and -2. And for one cycle in every pi over 2. So for every pi over 2, there will be one cycle. Basically, for every pi over 2, there will be one cycle. Okay, let me use the red color instead. Okay, so for every pi over 2, there will be one cycle. So basically, like that. So for the next pi over 2, the next pi over 2, the next pi over 2, we will have one cycle for each and every pi over 2. So again, it goes something like this. Okay, so just use your free hand to draw the graph. And the graph shouldn't be sharp, it should be smooth. Right. So that is the graph of 2 cos 4x. Since there is no shift, we don't have to do any shift here. So you can label your graph y equals to 2 cos 4x. This is y-axis and x-axis. Okay, now let's have a look at the third graph. Y equals to cos x minus 1. Minus 1 means that you need to shift the graph 1 unit downwards. Okay, we start with cos x first. So our A, obviously our A is equals to 1, and our period is equals to 2 pi over n. In this case, our n is 1, so it's equals to 2 pi. So we have one cycle in every 2 pi. And C is equals to -1, means shift down 1 unit. Okay. So we need to draw from 0 until 2 pi. So this is 2 pi, pi, 3 pi over 2, pi over 2. Okay. Since we are going to shift down 1 unit or shift so maybe we could label the y-axis to be 1, 2, -1, -2, and we draw the graph. Start from first we start with cos x first. Okay, cos x. So 1, look at the cycle 1 cycle in every 2 pi. So for every 2 pi we have 1 cycle. Okay. Next we shift down 1 unit, means that from 0, 1, from 1 to 0, then from 0 to 1, from -1 to -2, from 0 to 1, from 1 to 0. So our new graph will look like this, and we can erase the old graph. So this is the graph of y equals to cos x minus 1. Next, we move to the next example, the third one. So again, when we're dealing with modulus or anything, any sort of combination, okay, if we're dealing with modulus, means that any lower part of the graph needs to be shifted to the positive side. Any negative side of the graph needs to be shifted to the positive side of the graph. Okay, in this case, again, work from inside to outside. The first one we need to deal with is cos x. The second part we need to deal is plus 1. And the last one we need to deal is the modulus. Okay, start from inside to outside. Again, have a look. The amplitude is equals to 1 and the period is equals to 2 pi over n. In this case, our n is 1 equals to 2 pi, means that 1 cycle in every 2 pi. Okay, and our c is equals to 1 shift 1 unit up. And we're dealing with the range of x from 0 until 2 pi. So this is 2 pi, pi. And obviously this is 3 pi over 2, pi over 2. And for the scale on the y-axis, since the period is 1, so we have there 1 and -1. But then we need to deal with shift plus 1. So maybe you can put there as plus, add one more scale, so 2 and -2. Okay, start first with cos x. cos x and look at the period, one cycle in every 2 pi. So we will have one cycle in every 2 pi. Amplitude is just 1. Yeah. And then we need to shift 1 unit upwards. Plus 1 means that shift everything upwards 1 unit. So 1 to 2, 0 to 1, negative 1 to 0, 0 to 1, 1 to 2. So after we shift, we will get that. Sorry. And the third one, so you can erase the old part. Okay. The third one, we need to modulus. Since everything is already on the positive side, we do not have to do anything. We do not need to reflect anything because everything is on the positive side. So this is the right graph. Okay. Next example. Y equals to negative cos x such that x must be from 0 until 3 pi over 2. Again, amplitude is equals to 1. And easily to see that period is just 2 pi over 1, which means 2 pi. So 1 cycle in every 2 pi. And we have negative here and modulus. So the first step, deal with inside. That is the first thing that you need to draw. Second, from inside to outside, so we deal with modulus. That is the second step. The third step is you deal with the negative. Okay, right. Draw your graph. Okay. In this case, I will draw let me put it this way. So this is pi, and pi over 2. Let me see. Okay, this is 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and pi over 2. Okay. And we only deal with amplitude 1, so that is not a problem. So 1 start from inside, cos x. So 1 cycle in every pi. So we will have 1 cycle in every pi. Next one, we will modulus. Okay, that's the second step. Means that the bottom part will be reflected by x-axis and goes to the upper part. So this happened when we modulus. And the next one, if we negate, or we have the negation, negative symbol, means everything will be reflected about the x-axis. Top goes to bottom, bottom goes to top. In this case, top goes to bottom because everything is on the top. When you have negative, you reflect about the x-axis. Okay, negative is reflection about x-axis. Okay, so everything will be reflected. You become sorry for the interruption. Yes. Okay, notice that they want you to draw from 0 until 3 pi over 2. Means that you have to stop here. Stop here. So it means that we need to erase the last part here. Okay? So this is your final graph. Y equals to negative cos x for x from 0 until 3 pi over 2. So we stop at 3 pi over 2. Now we are going to have a look at the last example. Y equals to modulus 3 over 2 cos x minus 1. As usual, we need to start from inside. First, we start with 3 over 2 cos x. That's the first step. Second, we will deal with minus 1. So that is our second step. The last one should be the modulus. Okay. That is the third step. Remember, from my previous video, I always tell that we start from inside going outside. Okay. In this case, our amplitude is 3 over 2, which is just 1.5, and there is shift. C equals to negative 1 means that move down one unit. And the period is just 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi, means that one cycle in every 2 pi. And our cycle, our range of value of x, we need to consider from 0 until 2 pi. When we draw, suppose that we draw from 0 until 2 pi. So this is 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, pi over 2. And we deal with amplitude 1.5. And we have shift negative 1. So probably we will need the scale 0.5. So 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2. Negative 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, and probably negative 2.5. So this is 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 1.5, negative 2, negative 2.5. Okay, first we start with 3 over 2 cos x, and we look at the cycle, one cycle in every 2 pi, and the amplitude is 1.5. So okay, so, and then we shift 1 unit downwards. Shift 1 unit downwards means that becomes 1 unit. 1.5 minus 1 becomes 0.5. From 0 becomes 1. From 1.5 becomes 2.5. From 0 becomes from 0 becomes 1. From 1.5 becomes 0.5. Okay, next we will need to modulus. So if we want to modulus, means that everything from bottom goes upwards. So if you look at, let me erase that one first. If you look at here, negative 1 becomes 1. Negative 2.5 becomes 2.5. So let me add there, 2.5. And negative 1 becomes 1. So the new graph will look something like this. Now you can erase the bottom part. Right, so this is the graph of y equals to 3 over 2 cos x minus 1. Okay, I hope you understand today's lesson. Make sure that you do repeat the exercise or the examples given. For the next video, we will have a look on the tan graph. Thank you. Bye-bye.